Check the mic and make sure it sound right.
Hi, I'm DK Will, and this is DK Will Talk About It. I am going to do a brief video here on the Iraqi situation in the Iraqi Dinar. When I started this channel almost about a year ago, I said that I would kind of let the audience decide what direction we go, as long as it's something that DK would talk about. And so I will talk about Iraq because that's where it all began. And so I'm going to share some information that will be helpful, I guess, and useful for those who are attached to the Iraqi Dinar and the Iraqi Dinar situation. And we're going to start here with an article that was put out here recently where it showed that Iraq is ranked second in the list of 10 economies that will grow at the highest pace in 2022. And it goes on, it says that forecasts prepared in April of this year, 2022, show that the global economy this year is expected to grow by 3.6%. And this comes in light of the pressures it is facing. And Statista, citing data from FMI and the World Economic Outlook, identified 10 economies in the world that are expected to grow at the highest pace in 2022, and the list included 3 Arab countries. According to a graph by Statista, a German company specializing in market and consumer data, the Iraqi economy would grow at a rate of 9.5% and will rank second in the list after Guyana, which will lead to the world's economies in growth, as its economy is expected to grow by 47.2%. Well, clearly, when you have a depressed economy like Guyana, the options for growing in larger leaps and bounds is there. But to come in second at 9.5 for Iraq is also very impressive, noting that in third place comes Kuwait, India, Saudi Arabia, then Panama. Actually lived in the canal zone there for a while. Niger, then the Philippines, Congo, I've never even heard of Congo, and then Bangladesh. So that's some positive outlook on the Iraqi situation for the economy. As far as its relative importance in a RV or reinstatement, which is probably what most people who click on this video are interested in, let's talk about that a little bit now. So to initiate that discussion, I want to highlight something that I think is most relevant for all of us to remember regarding the global currency reset reminder. No one, and I mean absolutely no one, knows the exact time and date that the global currency reset would be finalized. With codes entered for notification of Tier 4B, us, the Internet Group, to set redemption exchange appointments. That deadline will be decided by the military out of calculations of their quantum computer and based upon concerns for safety of the people. Trust the plan. And I think that's the most important point to make as we move forward and we process the information that's available addressing the Iraqi Dinar. And in so doing, I'm going to take some excerpts from the Restored Republic via a GCR update as of today, Friday, June 3rd, 2022. And you can see I've already read this information here from its source. Moving on, it goes on to say German bonds were liquidated on Thursday, 2 of June, and people were being paid, according to Charlie Ward, head of the GCR Redemption Committee. Very promising news, if it's true. We'll see how this ties in with other things that I talk about here as we go along. This went along with Ward's statement last week that the global currency reset funds would be available to the general public somewhere around the beginning of June. We're certainly at the beginning of June, it being June 3rd. According to Bruce, on Wednesday, June 1, bondholders in Europe were notified of monies in their accounts, and some have received liquidity. Now there we see some consistency. Being paid, receive liquidity. Can we say it's true or not? Who knows? I'm just sharing the information. According to Bruce, bondholders in the U.S. will be notified by email and have access to their funds starting 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time today. people. I'm at 2 o'clock Central, that's 3 o'clock Eastern. So I guess in a couple hours, if you know anybody that fits that bill, you'll be able to check it out. Also, according to Bruce, Tier 4A and B, us, the internet group, could get notified by email over the weekend or at 12 noon, according to time zones on Monday, 6th of June. Easy follow-up there for you. Personally, check your email boxes. According to Bruce, the general public would start Wednesday or Thursday, 15 and 16 of June. Okay, keep that in mind. We're giving these dates, but don't forget where we started. No one, absolutely no one, knows the exact time and date of the global currency reset, and it is reliant on what I believe is to be true. Military, out of their calculations of the quantum computer, and that's a reality, folks. I did a video on that in the past. Maybe I'll put the card in here around this place so you can go look at it. Moving on, it says that the gold-backed Chinese yuan has replaced the fiat US dollar as the world's reserve currency. The US fiat dollar is due for replacement. It has become more and more valueless, with a country $30 trillion in debt, with a $21 trillion economy, and producing quantitative easing. It's been ridiculous. And so now they're trying to go in reverse, but it's like being in a sinking boat and you have a bucket that picks up a gallon of water and you can dump it over the edge, but at the same time the boat's taking in 1.25 gallons of water, so you're never going to get ahead. You're just going to keep sinking. That describes the US fiat dollar, in my opinion. A few days later, the kingpin of the GCR, the Iraqi Dinar, was removed from the international sanctions list, and Iraq was told that they could revalue their dinar at any time. I wonder who's doing the telling. Think about that, folks. It's bigger than Iraq. According to Ward, on Friday, May 20, the GCR tokens were issued, with certain qualifying banks giving you liquidity in the new financial system. That conflicts with what I read from someone else about the quantum financial system and the conflict of it beginning in stages as opposed to a flip of the switch. On Monday, May 30, the sovereign gold bonds went live. According to Bruce, in order to participate in the gold asset-backed quantum financial system, banks had to be Basel III compliant, and national currencies needed to be gold-backed by noon, Monday, 6th of June. I do believe there's some credibility to that statement, and I'm going to tell you why. Because I base a lot of my interpretations and understandings not only on the facts and the geopolitical and the big landscape picture of things going on the earth, but also Bible prophecy. And in Bible prophecy, it talks about those not being able to buy nor sell without having a particular mark of the beast representing governments. And in this case, we see that the money situation on the globe is becoming more and more restrictive as to who can and will participate, and this kind of fits that. I'm not going to get into the beast discussion right now, or the 666 and all that stuff, but what I will say is that I see the trend towards you be a part of this system or you don't get to play, and that's in harmony with biblical prophecy. And as we move on with Dinar Recaps, we have Holly, Wolverine, Judy, and more for today. And there's a lot of positivity coming out of it, and I will share it with you and talk about it as we go along, but I'm going to read it. Friday Thoughts from Holly. She says, "Good morning, roomies. RV News. I had to be careful without saying too much. I will tell you, very soon, you will all be very happy. So incredible things are going on. I am smiling bigly." Now, see, this is also in harmony with Ward and Bruce, and a lot of positive things happening. But folks, we've been here before, and nobody, absolutely nobody knows. So let's, keep ourselves grounded. Keep praying for all involved in this process and who have fought the fight in our behalf. Continue to visualize your new life and this done. See it clearly and feel it in your body, how amazing it feels. Our lives will change shortly. Make sure all is ready and in order. Keep the faith. And know you are transitioning, not transacting. God bless you all. Holly. Wolverine goes on to say, "We have traveled this journey for so many years, And during this journey, we have met incredible people and built up friendships that is going to last for years to come. During this journey, we have confronted so many setbacks that every month we are promised the road to freedom and prosperity to only face setbacks after setbacks. We have seen so many of our colleagues that could not travel this journey anymore and are not part of this earth anymore, but they have passed on the baton to their family members so they continue their relatives' dreams. I pause there to tip my hat to a dear friend of mine that I met only through the Iraqi Dinar. His name was David, and we called him Snowflake. And he became a dear friend of mine. And while he was probably about 15 to 20 years older than me, I believe, let me do the math. Yeah, 15 to 20 years older than me. We became dear friends, despite he having a history of racial inequality, I'll say, mindset. But our love became genuine. So I tip my hat to him. He didn't make it, but he's in a better place no matter what, whether he gets a resurrection for another shot or not. We have had endless sleeps through this journey by having our phones close, thinking that any hour we will get that magic green light. Sorry to say I never did that, and I probably never will. Keep my phone close. Live your life, folks, and enjoy it. So if you end up like Dave, at least you did your best with what you had. The journey is nearly over, and we will be united all together in harmony where all people from different countries will be rejoicing and having cries of happiness in which we will all shout out with one voice, freedom. I believe only God's kingdom will do that. God bless you all, and thank you for being part of this incredible journey. Hempy talks a little bit about GDP of Iraq, and I do have some material on that, and I guess I'll go into that next. He says that he was listening to news overseas, and the lady was talking about how the IMF and the World Bank have grossly underestimated the GDP growth in Iraq. And of course, we touched on that in the beginning. But also, there's other information out there about U.S. ambassadors' visit to Iraq. So I'm going to touch on that next. And this article here showed that Prime Minister al-Kadhimi receives U.S. ambassador to Iraq. And that's on the second as well, Shafaq News. It says here that Mustafa al-Kadhimi received on Thursday the new U.S. ambassador to Baghdad, Alina Romanowski. Al-Kadhimi praised, according to a statement by his office, that Iraq cares for strengthening ties with the U.S. in all fields. He expressed Baghdad's readiness to work and achieve stability and enhance the economic situation in Iraq and the world. Well, that's definitely going to happen when you're going to be the second highest growing economy, especially amongst the Arab nations, 9.5% GDP, only behind Guyana, which has so much room to grow. The two sides confirmed that security and military cooperation between the two countries is ongoing to end terrorism. Blah, blah, blah. That's how I feel about that narrative. Terrorism is planned civil disturbance, I think, by the governments. For her part, Romanowski said that Washington looks forward to more joint work with Baghdad, especially in the economic, cultural, and educational fields. And so that's just a brief excerpt of the story that they were received. And here's another part that I thought was interesting that shows some of the outcome and reaction of it all. We see here that Shafaq News, the oil-producing countries in OPEC, announced on Thursday a new increase greater than expected in their production this summer in an attempt to limit the rise in prices since the beginning of the Russian-Ukrainian war. What this reveals, folks, is that they could have done this all along, and they could have controlled the prices. It's all orchestrated. The White House, in a statement after a meeting of OPEC members, praised the role of Iraq, Saudi Arabia, United Arab Emirates, and Kuwait in achieving consensus in OPEC. Well, nice company you keep, Iraq. But as I said before, this was always a solution, folks. We are merely puppets, pawns, I'll say, in their games of geopolitical warfare and manipulation. That is undoubtedly the opinion of DK Will. And guess what? I'm DK Will, so I'm the guy to say it. As we go on, Militiaman will cover this part here. He says, we have been told more than once this last week that they read it twice, talking about the budget. Why say it over and over? They also told us they have the vote and then adjourn the session to an undisclosed time frame for return. I think the wording was until further notice. Sorry, but all the varying points of view has me thinking there is more to the story. Finally getting around to that, huh? Bigger than Iraq. And we're about to find out the meat of it. Them starting to talk numbers is a key focus. They haven't told us anything about numbers. They suggest there is nothing to hide. Laugh out loud. I can think of one major thing they are clearly hiding, in my opinion. And folks, I'm reading that because I can think of many of things that they're not hiding. They're just not disclosing, because this is bigger than Iraq. When you hear they were told that they could do this with their money, they couldn't do that with their money, that's clearly a sign that somebody else is pulling the strings. And so I'm sharing this information from Iraq. I hope it's not as haphazard as it feels that I'm doing it, but I know my audience likes to hear about Iraq. I think, folks, and I'm going to not change my mind until something changes my mind, that people are putting their focus too deeply on matters that are relative to Iraq and its economy as if it makes a gigantic difference. It doesn't. Militiamen went on to say, is there light at the end of the tunnel? It sure looks like there is some. That feel Iraq is about to enhance the economic situation in Iraq and the world. Fairly sure for Iraq to enhance not only themselves but also the world at large, they'll need to go international. They will not be doing that at an imposed 1460 exchange rate, or they would have by now. I agree with that. And then it talks about the visit of the U.S. ambassador, which we've already covered. So that's a little touch on what's going on in Iraq and the Iraqi Dinar. Of course, there were some dates that we gave when we covered some of the excerpts from the global currency reset here, and dates that you can look into and find out for yourself. I mean, are you going to get notified by an email by the 3rd of June? Bondholders? Well, that's today, folks. You know anybody who might fit that bill? Give them a call. Find out. Are they going to be all gold asset backed for the quantum financial system and Basel III compliant by Monday, 6th of June? That's something we can look back onto on the next video, perhaps. And is it true that many are saying that some have received liquidity? Bondholders in particular. One never knows. Does it make sense that the gold Chinese yuan has replaced the US fiat dollar? Somebody's going to replace it. And is Iraq truly the kingpin of the GCR? I'll be point blank on that one, folks. I don't think so. The kingpin of the GCR that we're waiting for, in the opinion of me, DK Will, is right here. Right there. Gold asset-backed quantum financial system. Calculations of quantum computers. AI. The mark, perhaps. That's another story. Well, I'm DK Will. This is DK Will Talk About It. I'm being undertoned on purpose because there's someone sleeping in my home, my aged mother. Fortunately, Bogey gave me a break, even though I know he hears me talking over there. He must be sleepy, tired, or something, but grateful. And I appreciate you guys stopping by. I will ask, please subscribe if you stop by. I need some more subscribers. I need to double my subscribers. Please like. Please share.
Check the mic and make sure it sound right.